This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Joining us today is Tristan Pottas, the CEO of soon-to-list IPO First Development Resources. Now, Tristan, I believe that you're in Australia, recently arrived. Very pleased that you have prioritised doing an interview with us over the surfing. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks, Mark. And it's a pleasure to be talking with you today. And you're right, I arrived in Perth late last night, Perth time, after a fairly long flight from London. But it's great to be back in Western Australia. The sun's shining, and we're obviously feeling very optimistic about the forthcoming site visit to visit our first development projects.
So, what is the purpose of the visit? And is it to deliver, or is it to visit these sites? Do you have some objectives that you want to tick off?
Absolutely. I mean, look, for me personally, I think leading the FDR team, it absolutely pays to have a first-hand experience of the projects. And you can read everything you can in papers and in reports, but the reality is you need to get out on site to understand, first of all, the logistical challenges of working in remote areas, but also getting to understand the nature of the geology, meeting with the teams who are working specifically on the desktop studies for the reports, taking the samples, and just getting a real feel for the ground. I think it's massively important in terms of understanding the project, but equally when speaking with prospective investors, to be able to say that you've been there, you've touched the ground, and you can look people in the eye and actually talk with confidence about what we're looking to achieve. I think it is a real, it's a real benefit to the investment proposition.
So, how long do you plan to stay for?
So, it's approximately a 2-week visit. It's certainly a whistle-stop tour of the projects, if you like. So I arrived last night. We're looking to head to the Northern Territory, to Alice Springs on Sunday. We've then got 3 days at the CELTA project with the geologist who was commissioned to complete the recently announced in-depth review of the CELTA project and the prospective targets there. We're then going to head up to Darwin for a very quick meeting with the Northern Territory Geological Survey to understand how that organisation could potentially help us in what we're doing. Then it's back to Perth and immediately up to Port Hedland to then get out to the Wallal and Ripon Hill projects. And again, on site, we're hoping to meet with the consultant geologist who has been producing the desktop study for Ripon Hills and Braeside West as well. And as I say, the real purpose is to be able to get a good understanding of these projects in the field. We're then coming back to Perth and meeting with all the team who are helping First Developments achieve our objectives. So it's the legal teams, the accountancy teams, the consultancy teams, but also crucially, 2 of our First Development Resources directors are based in Perth as well. So a bit of face-to-face time with them is going to be hugely beneficial for me and for them to really understand about what we're looking to do as a business.
Excellent. Okay. And what work programs are currently ongoing at the projects, and are the exploration and technical teams in place?
Yeah, so as always, in like Power Metal Resources, we've always got work ongoing at First Development Resources. You'll have seen earlier this week we announced the completion of the in-depth review for CELTA. As I say, we're going to be spending time with that consultant geologist, Matt Stevens, on site. We'll be mapping, we'll be taking samples, and we'll just be getting out to those prospective areas to understand what's going on there. Similarly, at Ripon Hills and Braeside West, there is a desktop review underway, and we hope to meet with the consultant geologist who's working on that. And ultimately, the purpose of this visit is to understand the nature of the targets, and then that will then inform how we then progress these projects going forwards. Obviously, at the stage we're at from a business perspective, we are limited to how we can deploy capital, but getting these desktop studies finalised and these targets identified is crucial to determine how we then progress the projects going forwards in terms of what stage of or what layer of exploration we apply next.
Now, you mentioned there about meeting your fellow board members. How excited are you to be finally getting, let's say, boots on the ground and really, getting on with the real hard work now?
Oh, really excited. Obviously, everyone's been locked down for a couple of years. We all know the challenges that everybody's faced. But I think particularly when it comes to exploration projects, it's such a there's so many things that you have to understand, and the best way of really understanding what the challenges are and what these projects potentially may become is by getting out and meeting the teams. And as I think I've mentioned in previous interviews, anyone who works in exploration, you have to be an eternal optimist because the odds are always against making a discovery. But to actually get to meet the guys, really communicate my vision, but also our shared collective vision to how we can take these things forward it's really important, and really excited just to meet the teams who are helping us achieve our objectives.
Okay, and finally, Tristan, is there any update on how the IPO process is coming along, and can you give investors an idea of how they perhaps can get involved?
So in terms of the update on the IPO, it's pretty much similar to how we've previously announced it. We are working to finalise the arrangements for the pre-IPO. In terms of, we're working on the final corporate structure, simplifying the corporate structure of our projects in Australia. We've got the board largely in place, or pretty much completely in place, and we've been speaking with all the key advisor groups, and they're all understand what our objective is. Things like getting the investment presentation, or the information presentation, verified by the lawyers. We've basically got to a point now where we're pretty much ready to go with the pre-IPO. And as we said previously, once we get the pre-IPO complete, we expect approximately a 3-month time frame between that pre-IPO and IPO. But as with everything that Power Metal are involved with, we will do everything we can to keep prospective investors and interested parties updated at every step of the journey.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Tristan Pottas, the CEO of First Development Resources. And I'm looking forward to, I think the plan is to actually catch up with you when you're on site, hopefully, as well. So I'm looking forward to doing that over the course of the next week. But for now, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.